How's it going, guys? This will be a video going over the top 16 units in War of Divisions. Keep in mind this is heavily opinionated and I don't want to go with 3 just because I'm not really in the mindset of putting together teams or anything like that. Also keep in mind that they are not ranked. Just because I say one unit before the other one doesn't mean that that one's better. So with that in mind, if you like these kind of videos, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Definitely helps keep me inspired to make more videos like this. So starting with fire, and to start us off, we're going to go with Cedia. Cedia to me is just one of those underrated characters when it comes to Warrior of the Crystals, especially for her element. She is extremely powerful. There are things that she lacks. Accuracy is something that's definitely one of her weaker points. You definitely want to build her for accuracy and as much around that as possible. But generally speaking, she pretty much has everything that you really want in a fire unit, has fire imperils, and ways to really buff your team to go up against certain teams. Something else in her favor is definitely the reflex. That is something that is just super crucial, especially if you have somebody maybe that can raise the reaction ability. But just generally speaking, Cedia, everything that I feel like she's missing can be supplemented pretty much with a TMR and Trust Stones. And next up for fire is definitely going to have to be Pissarro. Pissarro to me is just really annoying to fight. He has evasion working for him, he has courage working for him, means of removing courage, and just a lot going on for him. Generally, this guy has everything that he really needs. His reaction ability is really strong for it not being reflex. The only thing I feel like he's really waiting on is maybe Yuffie. So yeah, that's definitely gonna wrap it up for fire. These guys I think are just the top of their class. Alright, and next up we have Ice. And for Ice, I had to go with Alea. Alea is really just strong when it comes to reflex. She has a guaranteed hit with sharpshoot and just a lot of things that can just really mess you up when it really comes down to it. One of the stronger things that she definitely has is just the ability to manipulate CT. I think that's just really strong to have in your kit. She can also give you frostbite, aside from being able to break barriers. And the bigger thing is definitely to dispel auto revive. Getting rid of re-raise is something that can definitely keep you in the meta, even if you don't have it. And next up for Ice, it's kind of obvious. It definitely has to be Snow. This guy has guaranteed hits. He's super tanky, has a really similar build to Little Leela. Having courage and just means of raising his defense penetration is just super powerful. He's scary against wind, and he's probably scary against just a lot of evasion, and an obvious choice and definitely deserving of this place. So next up is wind. For this one, I definitely went with Glaciella, the flag bearer of Reform. This chick is just a monster. I feel like any unit that can just give themselves a barrier and have really good AoE buffs to give to their teammates is just super attractive when it comes to just what kind of units you want to go for. She has a lot of synergy with some of the limited cards that are out and about, having reflex, the ability to dispel buffs, and on top of that, she can dispel both courage and re-raise. Overall, they did an excellent job with this unit. They made her very tanky, while at the same time, they didn't really give her anything that makes her too broken. She definitely deserves this spot. For the next win unit, this one's kind of debatable. I wasn't really sure like who to put here, but I did have to go with Sottile. Sottile to me is just really good when it comes to using Joom. He has an extremely powerful counter that can dispel your buffs. And when it comes to buffing his own team, he has a plethora of things. I just don't even want to go through all of them. And then something else to really worry about is his limit break that can give you charm, while having the ability to grant somebody re-raise and also bestowing hate upon them. Just super unique, really powerful skill. I just feel like if he didn't have the guaranteed hit with Kododama, maybe it would be a little bit more of a toss-up for me. So yeah, Sottile is probably one of the better supports just in the game in general. Moving on to Earth, we have Zazan the Unkillable. I think he's just the first unit in general to have re-raise, courage, haste, just everything that you would really want on top of just being an evasive unit. Speed reflex is just super powerful. He also gets a little bit of CT manipulation with his re-raise. I just feel like when it comes to Earth, he's just a must-have. Next up for Earth, we have another toss-up. I'm not entirely sure how everybody would feel about this, but for me, Resnick the Hoppy is just really interesting. She has really good support. The only thing she was missing was reflex. She has the ability to dispel re-raise as well as haste, and she can also get rid of protect, which can be annoying. While also she has 2 casts of courage, so that's definitely something to consider. I also feel like her usability when it comes to raids or anything that involves chaining, she's just going to excel in, while at the same time not really feeling pushed to just be a PvE unit. As long as you have the right cards for her, she's going to be a monster. Next up, we have the lightning element, and this is probably going to be another toss-up. For me personally, I had to go with Summer Helena. I just honestly don't see her that often, but she's definitely really good. She has means of raising agility, spirit, and defense just with her support abilities alone. She has 2 different attacks that have guaranteed hits on them. And even if she's going up against Celis, one of those guaranteed hits are non-reflectable, so she's gonna have to take some damage. And if you're really not trying to use her as a healer or anything like that, she does have courage, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. The other unit I want to talk about is Esther. Ever since I really got Esther, I am not afraid to really go up against many physical teams. If you build her right and you have her skill set the right way, her moves set the right way to match the map, she's gonna be a terror and really annoying to deal with. You want to get her accuracy up, because she doesn't have any guaranteed hits, but she has courage and ways of getting aggro. But you may want to use the bow tie if it's a smaller map just to get her that native hate, because she's pretty much all about taking damage and giving it right back. Super strong unit, and she comes with a really good sword as well. Water to me is going to be a little bit more straightforward and a little bit more obvious. We have to put Celis here. Celis is the only person I believe that has Runic, aside from using maybe Carbuncle or something for a reflectability. Just super powerful. She has Magic Reflex, which is just kind of just synergizing with what you want to do with her. You definitely want her fighting as many magic teams as possible. An undefeated General's Pride, giving her single target resistance as well as generating that hate, is just a really powerful buff. And sometimes you can go with that and just leave Runic on the table if you feel like the map may be too small, because she's only really heavily countered by Dark Fina. And next up we have Astraeus or Alstoria. This guy is still a terror. He's really good. You build him for accuracy. He has 2 casts of courage, a really interesting skill that can give him a healing buff based off his damage, as well as the armor durability, which is just super rare at this point. I think only, 4 units have it. Even though he has a guaranteed hit skill, I just say build for accuracy just because his kit is just really good. And you don't really want to have to rely on using that unavoidable blade, but it definitely comes in handy whenever you need it. Next up we have Light, and it's no surprise that Starlight Elena is still on here, or Elena. She's super powerful still to this day, multiple hits, she still has courage, she's an evasion unit, she has guaranteed hits with Kododama. If you need her to sustain herself a little bit more, you can still use Drain Evocation with Rune Knight. Just a really good 1v1 unit, especially if they're not built for accuracy, she's going to tear them apart. And she's honestly just still one of my favorite units in general. But with the new influx of units, you can kind of feel her like sliding back just because she can't remove courage, she can't remove re-raise and stuff like that. So I guess it really depends what kind of units they release in the future. Maybe there's going to be some units that can bestow courage removal or re-raise removal. Then at that point, she's going to be even more scary. This one's kind of heartbreaking. I don't feel like Yuna would have been in the top 3 or top 5 just because like Light has a lot of good units. But I have to say that Sylvie is definitely by far way better than Yuna. Her support abilities are second to none. She is super annoying. She can be one of those units that just kind of sit back, do some stuff to herself, and then moves in and just completely keeps her team in a fight pretty much. She can give you re-raise, which also gives you Shell, which will last as long as you have the re-raise, which is kind of broken. She has means of dispelling, and having access to full life is always something that comes in clutch, especially if you need it. But what really tops her off is just the fact that she doesn't rely on just healing or being a pure magic damage dealer. She can deal it with Slash. And if you really want to go for pure damage, you can just use Blade Soul, because it definitely has a lot of good stuff in there. And finally we got Dark. For this one I had to go with Joker. Joker has guaranteed hits. The ability to give protect on your other teammates is just really good. And generally he's just a hard hitting unit that I feel like just needs accuracy and a lot of attack, and he's pretty much good to go. And last but finally not least is Halloween Lucia. This chick, ever since she was brought into the game, has been super annoying. That physical shield that she has is super annoying, just a super annoying character. I really do feel like she is the best cost limited unit in the game because she feels like a cost 100. She has 2 skills that have guaranteed hits and 1 that can turn you into a frog. And I haven't really seen it fail too often. Even if it does land at a 25% chance as far as inflicting the Toad status, it seems to hit a lot more than that. She's also another character that has CT manipulation when it comes to this arcane shot, which is like the Arminger effect, and she gets that from her limit break, which also hits pretty hard while absorbing 30% of the damage that's dealt. Even though I would say she doesn't rely on accuracy, you can definitely run her with the accuracy build as far as with the other units that she's running with. And I also feel like she doesn't rely on a tank. She can reduce the damage for herself while buffing other people's AoE as well as their defense. So she has things to keep your teammates alive and pretty much help them taking damage. Now that we're at the end of the video, I do have to give a special shout out to one unit in particular, and that is going to be Halloween Ryu. This guy's TMR is just one of the more powerful TMRs in the game, especially when it comes to cost limited guild battle. It's just something that is just super clutch, and it can kind of change how you have to approach a team in general. So all I really have to say is if you do not have it, guys, go for that mug, because I definitely plan to on the next Halloween rerun. But with that, that'll be the end of the video, guys. Let me know how you feel about these picks. Let me know what you would have put instead. And with that, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Take it easy.